OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, adding advertising revenue into their mix. We knew this was coming. There were always signs. They hired Fujisimo last year, who was put on to the task of putting together the advertising platform, and that is now launching. So we're going to go through the details of what this means for you and the future of artificial intelligence as a whole, because this is a wide-ranging change. This is not just ChatGPT. It's going to affect the entire landscape. I've talked about this before. Everyone is waiting for somebody to blink first, to be the first to pull the trigger on adverts. Nobody wants to be first, and it is ChatGPT, because they need to make money fast, especially if going for an IPO. We'll talk about economics soon. This is not surprising news. If you see people feigning outrage on Twitter and Reddit about ads, they knew this was coming. Anyone who was paying attention knew this was coming. It's a question now of how sensitively will it be done? How is it going to affect users? In the coming weeks, we plan to start testing ads in ChatGPT free and Go tiers. Now, if you're not sure what Go is, it has until recently only been in certain countries. Go is between the free and paid plan. It costs around, I want to say about $8 a month, but there are parity pricing options. So it's the one that is used in India, I think Indonesia, the Philippines, but they have now released it in America as well. And it gives people the ability to access ChatGPT, to use all of the tools, to have a slightly larger usage than if they're on the free plan. I've always thought this is a way for OpenAI to ensure that they have more paying users. It looks like this is the case because they are adding adverts into the plans. So you will not be free of adverts, even if you're paying. We're sharing our principles on how we'll approach ads, guided by putting user trust and transparency first as we work to make AI accessible. The fact that this is their second paragraph tells me that they know that what they're doing is treading a very fine line. They need to be careful here, and they know that, and that's why they are saying upfront, yeah, we get it, you might not want ads, but we're going to make sure that it's the best possible experience for you and not too egregious. It's tricky to have your cake and eat it. They want to tell us that this is actually quite good for us, but yes, we do need to make money from adverts. So what matters most? Responses in ChatGPT will not be influenced by ads. What a load of rubbish. The whole point about putting ads in is for influence. That's what adverts are for. They are for exposure, for pointing people towards purchasing. They are specifically for influencing people. Yes, it might not change the actual text of the answer, but placing an ad in the same area, it being visible, is specifically there to influence you. Okay, so responses in ChatGPT will not be influenced by ads. I think they're being a bit cheeky there. Ads will always be separate and clearly labeled. Your conversations are private from advertisers. Okay, that is a very important point because people will worry about that. However, the OpenAI will be able to build up profiles of who we are based on what we are asking and serve up adverts. Even if advertisers can't see our specific chats, which I would bloody well hope not, the advertisers will be given access to the fact that we are, for example, somebody who has an exercise bike and might be looking for a new saddle, or somebody who goes to a certain gym and might be amenable to an upgrade offer, or whatever it is. That data will be made available to them in the aggregate, not the chat. Pro plus business and enterprise tiers will not have ads. That kind of goes without saying because there would be a massive revolt here. It does not necessarily mean that Plus and Pro won't get adverts later. So right now, they will not. And I think that's fair. If you are paying $20 a month or more, that removes you from the advertising pool. However, the most valuable potential customers to advertise to are people with money, people who are not on the free plans of ChatGPT, but instead people who are paying $20 or $200 a month for ChatGPT. They are, funnily, the people that the advertisers will actually want to get to. So this does stunt OpenAI's reach and targeting. None of us pay for Google. We don't pay to use Google search. The deal there is that Google gets to serve up ads to any of us. And that could be the CEO of a company, the purchasing manager of a massive enterprise. They will be served up Google adverts. That is an option that has been cut off from ChatGPT because they are charging a subscription, a $20 a month subscription. And if they added adverts into that paid subscription, they'd see a lot of cancellations. So they'll have to balance this out. Answer independence, so it won't influence what ChatGPT tells you. Conversation privacy, choice and control, and long-term value. Fine. They're saying at the top that it is aligned with their mission, which is to ensure AGI benefits all of humanity. Our pursuit of advertising is always in support of that mission and making AI more accessible. As I said at the top here, they're having to tread a very fine line here because they obviously need adverts in place so they can generate revenue, so they can pay back investors who have given them an awful lot of money, and so that they can justify the valuations that we are now talking about. The IPO, I think the latest I saw was 750 or $800 billion for valuation, which would be one of the largest IPOs in history. That's potentially happening this year or next year. To justify that valuation, they need revenues. It was going to be advertising. When we look at other companies, so someone like Google, we think of Google, we think of Meta, we think of these companies as tech companies. They're not. They're advertising companies. That's how they make money. Google, for example, makes about 60 to 70% of their money through advertising, search advertising, YouTube advertising, Google Ad Network, etc. Only about 20% is from other sources of income like cloud, but they are primarily a advertising company. And if you look at Meta, 99% of Meta's revenues come from advertising. They're not tech companies first, they are ad platforms. OpenAI has a user base of, we think, about 900 million right now, so it probably hit 1 billion shortly, and it's very hard to ignore the temptation of running ads in order to access that revenue from those 1 billion people who are now using their service. So we knew this was happening. It's a question of how sensitive it's going to be. I'm going to jump at some questions. So what I wanted to point out is they've given examples of what in the advert might look like, and they're saying it's going to be very clearly labeled. You're definitely going to know it is an advert because we're not trying to trick you. This is something that advertising companies like Google have had to be very careful with, because if you hide the fact that information is sponsored, you lose trust. If you lose trust, people stop using your service, your user base collapses, and you cannot generate revenue because you've killed the golden goose, basically. This is what happened to Yahoo. Those of you a little bit older might remember Yahoo was a big search engine. Yahoo violated the user's trust by allowing sponsored listings, by allowing people to buy top results on Yahoo without it being marked as sponsored. They did that, they got in trouble, people said, I'm not using Yahoo anymore, and moved over to Google. So Google have always been very careful with this because they had to be. I've pulled up Google adverts over the decades and what they look like. Initially here, you can see the very first version doesn't look like an advert. They got in trouble for that very quickly, and they had to add a sponsored link. They changed the color as well. So these are the different colors over the different years. I had sponsored links, etc. If we scroll down though, what kind of happens is it gets more and more visible into 2013, I would say. And we've got this bright yellow button which says add, just so you know, paid for. But can you see it starts to get bigger as well? Initially, it was just a line, the link, and maybe one line of text. As we move on through the years, the advert is getting taken up more visual real estate on the screen. This is to make more people click, because when you look at a Google search, the larger and the more kind of decorative this is, the more it's going to draw attention. And remember, a lot of people will not necessarily recognize that this is an ad. And that's why they've had this bright yellow declaration of it being an ad. Then it goes green. Can you see it's green here, which is less visible? And then they actually take it from green to white with a green outline. And then this is what it is closer to now. It is black text saying ad. So there's a very interesting pattern here where it started off not looking like an ad. They realized quite early on that, oh no, we actually have to tell people it's an ad, otherwise we'll get Yahoo'd. It got more and more visually distinct. And then at a certain point, they decided, no, actually, 2016, 2017, we're going to make them less visible as adverts. So right now, if you go on Google and look up an advert, it's quite well hidden. So this is a balance between how many people we can get to click on it and how annoyed users get when they realize it's an advert. This is the tension, the fundamental tension in all of online advertising, where you want more people clicking because then you can sell the adverts for more money and generate more cash from the advertisers, but you cannot destroy your product, and your product is the user base, the amount of people that you have and the attention that you have to sell to your advertisers. You cannot ruin that trust. So OpenAI right now are saying, oh, it's going to be very visible. It's not going to have any effect on your ChatGPT responses. You'll know it's an advert only on the free plan. We're only going to have it on the Go plan. We're only testing it out. It's only in these countries. There's a lot of providers now. Remember, this is their first foray into advertising. This will not stay static. So all of these promises are being made now will probably change over the year in the same way that Google adverts over the years have shifted what they look like, allowed different targeting options, allowed more data to be revealed to the advertisers, etc., etc. So just because we're being told one thing now does not mean that this is going to be a static situation, especially when they need to make more money. There is a lawsuit, a big lawsuit from Elon Musk suing OpenAI, plus an IPO coming up. They need cash to justify their existence. When the purse strings tighten, if you have a product that's working, if you have advertising and it's generating cash and you need more cash, you're going to make your advertising more effective for your customer, the advertiser. The customer is not the user. The customer is the advertiser. We need to take all of this with a very healthy pinch of salt. I'm going to check for some questions. Everyone's very quiet today. That is fine. Hey, Yamisi. How are you? So yeah, let's have a look together at the actual announcement. So this was a few days ago. It is our approach to advertising and expanding access to ChatGPT. They are putting it forward as we are introducing advertising so that we can help more people get access to AI. If our company does well, we're able to give more people free access to ChatGPT. We're able to power more servers. We're able to push forward towards AGI. But we need to do this advertising to get there, which is an honest way to do it. But it's also a very clever, a bit sneaky framing to say that, oh, we actually need to put advertising in because it's better for humanity. AI is reaching a point where anyone can have a personal super assistant who gets access to shape whether AI expands opportunity or reinforces the same divides. I agree 100%. That's why I've created things like the AI readiness guide, because I want to make sure that as many people as possible have access to this technology. We've been working to make powerful AI accessible to everyone through our free product and low-cost subscription tier, GPT Go. Launched in 171 countries since August. Today we're bringing Go to the US and everywhere ChatGPT is available. Go has now been released broadly. Let's see how much it is. So it is $8 a month, but that pricing will be localized. So that's available, or has been available, in India, Indonesia and the Philippines, and it was a very cost-effective tier to bring in more paid users. So they are releasing Go more broadly. You get expanded access to messaging, image creation, file uploads, and memory for $8 a month. It is a step up from the free tier, but you'll pay something. In the coming weeks, we're also planning to start testing ads in the US for the free and Go tiers, so more people can benefit from our tools with fewer usage limits and without having to pay. This is the deal: access to artificial intelligence for free or for $8 a month. We are going to be able to provide that access, but it's going to require that we run adverts, because we have servers to pay and we need to keep this running, and we can't keep rolling it out to 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion people unless we have something to soften the cost. So I think that's fair, personally. They are a business. They were a non-profit, but they still need to make money to keep the servers running. That is just a reality of the situation. People trust ChatGPT for many important and personal tasks, so as we introduce ads, it's crucial we preserve what makes ChatGPT valuable in the first place. That means you need to trust that ChatGPT's responses are driven by what's useful, never by advertising. You need to know that your data and conversations are protected and never sold to advertisers, and we need to keep a bar high and give you control over your experience so you see relevant, high-quality ads and can turn off personalization. This is the fine line, the balance between needing to maintain a user base and grow your user base, which you cannot do if you bend too much towards the advertisers. They have to balance the advertisers, who are their customer, and users, who are the product they sell to the advertisers. So then it goes on, talks about the 4 values that we talked about before. So mission alignment, this is helping them get to AGI because it allows them to support constant improvement. That's fine. Answer independence, it will not change ChatGPT's response. It would just add a labeled advert. Conversation privacy, we keep your conversations private from advertisers and never sell your data to advertisers. Tricky language, because they are selling your data to advertisers, just not personalized what you are searching. So if you're searching for the best whiskey brands and it places an advert personalized to you, they're not selling your data directly to the advertisers, but they are giving the advertisers access to you based on your data. Subtle, but I think important. Choice and control. You control how your data is used. You can turn off personalization and clear the data used for ads at any time. We'll always offer a way for you to not see ads in ChatGPT, including a paid tier that's ads-free. So that's nice of them. If you don't want to see ads, it will be $20 a month. I understand why they're doing it. It's just very funny to see them have to word these press releases and word these announcements in such a way that we feel it is good for us that we're getting adverts, which is a little sneaky. We do not optimize for time spent in ChatGPT. We prioritize user trust and user experience over revenue. This is a criticism often leveled against social media networks, where companies like TikTok, companies like Instagram want you to spend more time on the platform. So they will often hook you with very high engagement content so you mindlessly scroll, because by doing that, they serve more adverts on their platform and then they generate more money. ChatGPT or OpenAI is saying we don't optimize for that. We don't care how long you spend on ChatGPT. We just want it to be valuable for you. I'd be surprised if they're not tracking that. They might not be optimizing it for it, but I'm sure they're tracking it. I'm wary of that. We're not launching ads yet. Again, this is a softening technique. You say, oh, this is what we're going to do. You allow everybody to get it out of their system and then go forward with a launch. It means that there's also won't be screenshotable evidence of egregious advertising, for example, or badly aligned advertising. We plan to start testing in the coming weeks for logged in adults. That's interesting. In the US and free on the Go tier. So they're saying it's for adults only. This is a part of their protection of children. They don't currently know who the adults are. So there was talk about in January, so now, introducing ID verification to verify your age. That has not been introduced, but they're saying that we're only going to show adverts to adults. Presumably that's going to be based on profiling. So based on what people are searching for, they will know whether that person is an adult or a child. To start, we plan to test ads at the bottom of answers in ChatGPT. When there's a relevant sponsored product or service based on your conversations, ads will be clearly labeled and separated from the organic answer. You'll be able to learn more about why you're seeing that ad or dismiss ads and tell us why. So again, coming back to what I just talked about, what the adverts look like now will not be static. It will change. And this is a chart showing what Google ads on the top of search look like. They have changed over the years. They became larger, more visible, more highlighted, and more recently they have larger visibility. They're less clearly marked as adverts. Early on we had bright yellow, then green outline, and then black or white, and very hard to tell that is an advert, and a lot of people still fall for it. And I've given us some ideas of what the ads will look like. Smartly, they're at the bottom, so they're very close to your thumb when you're on the telephone, close to where you interact with ChatGPT. So it's very easy to tap from there near the chat interface. That's where I would have put it too. The best ads are useful, entertaining, and help people discover new products and services. Sure. But right now it looks like they are just a little image and a link. So I don't know how that's useful or entertaining, but we will see. Imagine if they added video ads. No, they wouldn't do that. Oh God, I hope I'm wrong. What we're looking at here, that is neither useful or entertaining. That is basically just saying, hey, I see you're looking at hot sauce. Do you want to check out this one? That is relatively close for purchase intent. Actually, let's talk about purchase intent in a moment, where rather than being a higher up the funnel advert where you might try to entertain, you might try to educate, and then later you move people onto a sale. This right now is just a static image and a link to buy, which is neither useful nor entertaining as a transactional advert. Ads can be transformative for small businesses and emerging brands trying to compete. I agree. If you run a business, experiment with these ads ASAP. As soon as it becomes available for us to get access to the ad platform, experiment. The reason I'm saying this is when ad platforms come out, this happened with Google, Meta, this happened on Instagram when they released ads there, it happened on TikTok. Whenever there is a new ad platform and a new way to get access to potential customers, it's basically the easiest money you'll ever make. The advertising platforms will not be charging very much because they want to build momentum, get lots of people on their platform, and there won't be much competition. Move fast as a small business or a brand or whoever you are and spend some money on ChatGPT advertising. I bet it's going to be a very high return, at least for the first year or two. Any new platform has this bump. And then a few years down the line, people will be like, oh, it's not like it used to be. Because this is a new, get on it fast. This will be very exciting if you are a business owner. Okay, I think this is all to be expected. What I did want to talk about, let me see if I can find it. Oh, I've lost it. No, here it is. So if you have never run online ads, if you've never done search engine optimization, if you've never really thought about content marketing, it's the context of adverts in ChatGPT is a little harder to get. I think what's really exciting about ChatGPT advertising, if you are a business, if you are a company, is how close you are to commercial or transactional intent. When we make a piece of content, when we create an advert, when we put something out online, generally we're thinking about what level of engagement our potential customers at. So we have early on, we have things like informational, which are blog articles, they are social media posts, newsletters, any content focused on information. So if I use my own website, for example, I have a bunch of free courses on here, and these are information. So people can come on here and they can learn information, but there's no transactional intent. Navigational is going to a specific website. So let's say you're reading a blog article about the best vibe coding tools that I've written. That would be an informational piece. Me talking about Claude, me talking about Lovable, etc. Navigational would be when the user goes to a specific website. So they go onto Google and they search for Lovable, for example, in order to go and check out a specific website. So we've gone from the general category of vibe coding to a specific tool, a specific company, Lovable or Claude Code or whoever it is. That is navigational intent. Commercial intent is when you're consuming content with the idea of making a purchase. You've decided, all right, I'm interested in vibe coding. I've decided I want to use a particular tool. I've gone on the websites, navigational websites like Claude Code. I've gone on Lovable. I've gone on Replit. I've gone on Bolt. I've had a look at these all. Now I'm comparing different options. So it is, I am going to purchase. The question now is, which of these am I going to purchase? That is a commercial intent search query or commercial intent social media post. You might look for a social media post talking about which AI tool, which vibe coding tool should you invest in. That is a commercial intent. And then the final is transactional. This is when somebody literally goes onto Google and they type something like buy Lovable subscription or buy Lovable subscription or subscribe now to Lovable. They're going straight to the purchase page of the service they're trying to purchase. So that is the final one, that is transactional. If we look at the type of ads they have here in ChatGPT, or the potential ads, this one would be almost transactional, maybe commercial, maybe transaction. It's you are going through some hot sauces with ChatGPT, talking about what kind of hot sauce you can buy. At the bottom, it is saying Harvest Groceries can deliver Ember Co. hot sauce to you for $6 within 25 to 35 minutes. That's transactional. That's saying, we know you need hot sauce. Do you want to buy this hot sauce now? Click on that, complete your purchase, and the hot sauce will be delivered to you. Very much transactional, maybe commercial if it gave you a couple of different options. This one here is somebody trying to learn about traveling in Santa Fe, New Mexico, thinking about taking a trip to New Mexico. This desert cottages advert appears. So this one would be probably, I'd say it's probably commercial. It could be informational if it was serving up an ad saying, hey, we have a free guide to Santa Fe travel. Come to this website and we'll give you the 10 must-see places in Santa Fe. That might be an informational, but this again is fairly commercial. What ChatGPT has, which is really powerful, is it has access to basically our deepest, darkest secrets. People will talk to ChatGPT about their medical problems. They will go through difficulties in their life. They will talk about personally relevant topics in a way we might not on Google, because people use ChatGPT as a journal, as a way to offload thoughts, as a way to have discussions about what's going on in their life, which means ChatGPT has a much richer data set about who we are and what we want than Google, where you're mainly going to Google if you have a problem you want to solve and you need either this kind of information, navigation, commercial, or transactional intent. The ChatGPT has a much richer tapestry of who we are and what we want, and therefore they'll probably be able to, we'll see once it launches, they'll be able to go straight to commercial and transactional based on what they know that we already need. That is why they're in an incredibly powerful position to sell a lot of ads and make a lot of money with this. Thoughts on the future of Google search? Google search is in a really interesting position. I think search advertising as it is now will not exist 10 years from now. We're seeing a paradigm shift in how we as humans access information. So prior to the internet, we might go to the library and look up an encyclopedia, call an information helpline, talk to people. As soon as the internet came along, search became the primary method through which we accessed information. If we needed to find something, it was at our fingertips via Google search. And now, because we've been using Google for 20 years, we don't think of this as anything special. We're seeing a similar shift moving from search of information as indexed online, that's what we've been using for 20 years, to generation via large language models, being able to pull up information via an LLM. And already ChatGPT has about 900 million users, probably going to hit 1 billion very shortly. So the adoption rate is much faster than Google, much faster than any technology we've ever had before. So I think what's going to happen is humans will shift from searching for indexed information. They'll shift towards just asking questions and getting information using generative AI. So I think search advertising is done for. So Google are in a position where they make a huge amount of money. I think it was $350 billion last year. Or was it 250 billion? It's hundreds of billions. Most of that, 70 to 80%, is from advertising. And most of that is from search advertising, running banner ads at the top of Google, basically. That is going to die. And they are going to have to sacrifice their own cash cow and pivot to survive. Google's in a lot of trouble, but at the same time, they're also in a really good position to take the AI race. I was not saying this last year, but after the release of Gemini 3 and the fact that Google just started to ship some really good stuff, I've changed my tune. And I think that Google are in a very good position to take the market. Elon Musk is suing OpenAI. So those two are head to head. The winner of that lawsuit, Google. Google also own the own vertical. So they are not reliant on NVIDIA for GPUs. They use their own TPUs, tensor processing units. They have their own cloud infrastructure. They have oodles of data. And so from search history, from our emails, they own all the data. This is why Nano Banana Pro is so good. They have been indexing and labeling images for the last couple of decades with Google Image. They just have a huge amount of data, whereas the other companies need to scrape Google in order to access that data, followed by having distribution, massive distribution via Android, via Chrome, the browser. They are just in a good position. They do need to replace their search advertising revenue though. So they'll be watching what OpenAI are doing very closely, because they will want to model their advertising plan. So they're in a great position right now because they are also not cash hungry. OpenAI need to continue to make money. They need to either raise money from investors by selling them the dream that we're going to hit AGI and then all of your investments will return 1,000-fold, or they need to raise money using things like advertising. Google have a war chest. They have cash. So they can wait. They can allow companies like OpenAI to release adverts to get all the flack that comes from that. And then later down the line, they will release their own version when it's a known quantity. At the same time, Google is in the most trouble they've ever been because we're shifting from search to generative AI, and 70% of their revenue comes from search. That's the difficulty. But if anyone's going to do it, it's probably Google. They own the whole vertical, have all the data, a lot of cash. Gemini and people like Demis Hassabis and DeepMind, so they have the minds to do this as well. It's going to be a rough ride, but I think they can probably pull it off. It'd be exciting to see what happens over the next few years. Yes, this is the question, Greg. Is winning the AI race financial benefits enough to offset the loss of search advertising? This is the huge question. They have to kill their cash cow, a cash cow that is making hundreds of billions of dollars. They know that's going to not be around in the next few years, so they need to kill their own cash cow using things like Google AI overviews at the top of Google to pivot away from search advertising, not knowing whether generative AI ads will be able to replace that revenue. That's the huge gamble. I think they don't have much of a choice. It's either allow search advertising to die or actively kill it yourself using Gemini, using Google AI overviews, so at least you are in control of the narrative and hope you can work out how to monetize that down the line, which is why they'll be looking at OpenAI and being like, let's see if they can pull this off. That is the question, Greg, whether or not they'll be able to do it. It is a lot of money they need to replace. It is hundreds of billions. None of the AI companies are making anywhere near that. They have massive data center costs as well. I did want to look at this analysis, though, by Signal of revenue. So he does a very kind of back of the napkin sketch of how much they could make. Let's talk about ads. Inside of ChatGPT, it will be insane. You get a level of personalization inside of ChatGPT, which I don't think you get anywhere else, because we're giving it all of our deepest, darkest secrets. So here we go, 2025, last year, Meta made around $58 per user from ads. Imagine OpenAI hits 1 billion free users by 2026. They will. They're already at 900 million. So they'll be at 1 billion in a month or two, I'm sure. They're still growing. Let's say they have 1 billion users. If they monetize just 9% Metas, so 9% average revenue per user, that's $5 billion in incremental revenue. If they manage 18, 20%, they'll have $10 billion in revenue. If they get exactly $58 per user this year, then they'll generate 60 billion per year from adverts alone. Now let's look at Google revenues. In one quarter, from January to March 2024, Google generated 50 billion from advertising alone. There's still a discrepancy in amounts needed because this is 60 billion in 1 year, whereas Google generated 40 billion in 1 quarter just from search ads. The question is whether they'll make enough money to justify the costs of artificial intelligence, to justify the sky-high valuations from the IPOs. A lot of investors are trying to work out these numbers to see whether this makes sense. Are these adverts potentially harming their user base, but only dribbling in a few billion? I know it's a huge amount of money, but if they need hundreds of billions and they're only able to generate 20 billion, 30 billion, maybe 50 billion a year, is that going to be enough to support them in the long run? No, they need other revenue sources as well. Signal saying, can AI companies match or exceed social media average revenue per user? Because this is what it hinges on. AI sits closer to intent than feeds ever did. The intent of purchasing, the intent of a commercial transaction, as we looked at here, informational, navigational, commercial, and transactional. AI sits much further down because it knows what we want, because we talk to it on a daily basis. So you could potentially get more than this $58 per user that Meta manages to get, which would unlock them being able to make even more revenue per user. Maybe. There's a lot of provisionals here. It will take time, but if AI becomes the default for thinking, searching, buying, and choosing, social media average revenue per user may end up looking like a floor, not a ceiling. Given that they have many Facebook veterans, OpenAI have been bringing in people from Facebook, including Fidji Simo. She was brought over and she's now CEO of applications from OpenAI, previously from Meta. I've lost it. So they have the potential to build one of the greatest ad businesses, especially because they know your secrets and fears. They know everything about us. That is leverage when you are advertising. It's gross, but that's how this works. OpenAI is building Facebook 2.0 and the old Facebook peeps are doing it. I'm not sure about that part, but I think it's very important that we sit down and do this kind of analysis, working out, okay, you have 1 billion users, how much revenue can be generated per user? What is a decent figure that we can put in there? Is it this 58? Is it something more? Is it 3 times this, 4 times this, or is it half? We need to work out what that figure is so we know whether or not this will be sustainable for OpenAI in the future. And this is the question Google will also be having. If they want to replace their search advertising, they need to work out how much money can we get from advertising revenue from AI results, because nobody knows. This is very speculative. Does winning the AI race allow you to offset advertising revenue? I think the answer is you need to still rely on advertising revenue. It's just advertising revenue within artificial intelligence is a different type. I thought it was a great article. I'm not going to go through it in full detail, but I am going to put it in the newsletter. So let me tell you a story. The other day, I needed to copy a long URL with an API key into my TV, and I didn't want to type it out on my TV remote because that is an absolute nightmare. So there exist apps that you can download on your telephone which connect to your Google TV, because most TVs are Android nowadays, which allows you to copy paste stuff over. But I went on the App Store to find a very basic remote control application that connects to my Android TV, and they all have basic free versions. But if you want to copy paste text or use the keyboard on your telephone, they're like, aha, okay, cool, that's $3 a month, and they charge you for it. There are 10, 20 of these predatory apps which know that you're just trying to copy one thing over onto your TV, and they're like, okay, we're going to make some money here. They have thousands of reviews, so they're making money from this. I got annoyed. I was like, I'm not paying you $3 so I can copy one URL onto my TV. Get fucked, basically. So I built one in Claude Code. It's a stupid way to do it, but I got so annoyed. I built an application in Claude Code which can talk to my TV via a test flight app on my telephone and allows me to control the TV because I refuse to pay them $3. I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of releasing that app for free, or maybe $1, so you're not paying $3 a month for a mobile app, TV controller app. There's a huge opportunity to disrupt the app markets. The App Store is cluttered predatory apps that try to charge a huge amount of money for very limited functionality, and they have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of users, and they've got good stars. We can fix that. We can build better versions of the same applications in a day or so, get them published onto the App Store, and either give them away for free because we don't like the predatory practices, or charge a reasonable amount, or set up a donation. We can take the app market using tools like Claude Code. Greg Eisenberg put out an article similar to my experience. I built this application so I didn't have to pay $3 a month for something I think should be free. So I built mine out of spite. Greg Eisenberg saying, no, actually, there's a huge business model. He said, here's the playbook to make $10 million in 2026, rebuilding existing mobile apps. I'm going to put this in the newsletter so you can get the full thing. Find apps people already pay for but hate using. He uses a tool called Sensor Tower to find applications that are making maybe $50,000, $100,000 per month in stable categories like productivity tools, utilities, niche professional apps, tools that aren't going to be constantly updated, basically. So you don't want to have to be fiddling around with it. You want to build it once and for it to be stable. And then find tools that are making good money, but they have a sub 4-star rating, but with strong retention. That is a signal that users need it badly enough to keep paying despite hating it. I pay special attention to revenue per download rather than total revenue. This shows whether users stick around and pay month after month. Again, you're looking for something that has crap reviews, but people keep paying for it because what else are they going to do? They need this application. And you probably have a few on your telephone that are like that you're like, yeah, this is rubbish, but I have to use it because it's the only one. It's frustrating every time, and I wish somebody would make a better version. Most people miss this, but the real opportunities in boring categories where small but loyal user bases quietly pay monthly for tools that just work. He plugs his own site, ideabrowser.com, which is very good. Look for the obvious missing features. Search for single dev apps doing 100,000 plus per month with ancient UIs. God, I've got a few of these. My God. Let me see if I can find one. You've probably got apps like this that are just like ancient looking. They don't really work. They're buggy. They were made years and years ago, but people still use them because nobody else has created anything else. Find tools where 50% plus revenue comes from one basic feature. Target apps still charging for features that should be free, like the remote control app I rebuilt. Look for apps with steady revenue but no updates in 6 months. The best opportunities are utilities people use daily but hate. I also find apps and just localize them for certain geographies. So I will put this all in to the newsletter because it's a big article. You find these piece of crap apps on the App Store and rebuild them. You go to Claude Code and I literally gave Claude Code the piece of crap remote control app that I was using, and I said rebuild all of this but make it free because I'm building it for myself. Rebuilt all the functionality that people were charging $3 a month for with thousands of reviews and thousands of users, and just rebuilt it in about 15 minutes. And then I quickly put it through Xcode, built it, stuck it on test flight, and had it working within an hour. Could I extend that, polish it up, release it on the App Store? Yeah, probably this week. You find these opportunities using a tool like Sensor Tower, or you probably have a few on your telephone that you know of already. Then you will build a version of it using Claude Code and get it published onto the App Store in order to blow away a lot of the crap on there. There will be a lot of competition because anyone can do this. So it's really going to be about finding that particular niche, and you're still going to have to do the marketing afterwards. You're still going to need to work out how to get it distribution, but the opportunity now is to build it and rebuild anything. It's actually getting easier. Manus have launched app publishing on Manus. Build your apps inside Manus, click publish, test on your phone via Google Play or test flight. No Xcode. Oh, wow, okay. No Android Studio, no wrestling with certificates. And then they've created a walkthrough of it here. So it's becoming very easy to build applications. If you can find a niche in the market and know how to market it, putting together the application no longer costs you tens of thousands of dollars. You can use Manus, you can use Claude Code. Replete also have pull it up, publish to App Store. Okay, they haven't managed to rank it, but you can do it using Replete as well. You can send to the App Store. There's a lot of opportunity here right now. I will put this full guide into the newsletter, and this is also something I'm going to start doing myself. Maybe I'll do some live streams on it so you can see me find business opportunities we could build together. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. It is available at aiwithkyle.com. There is a free challenge that you can join if you fancy it. 5-day challenge helping you get AI ready. My goal is to get 1 million people AI ready. We are about 250,000, so we're doing all right. But need to 4x that. Come and join on AI with Kyle. Also on YouTube, I am Kyle Barmer. Over here, we're at, what are we at now? 13,500 subscribers. So thank you if you are subscribed there. If you're not, all of the videos that you're watching right now, if you're on the live stream, will be edited, tidied up, segmented into specific news items, so it's easier to find. It all goes in the newsletter. For example, here's yesterday's newsletter, which links to a guide and a free training. I have a lot of free trainings and courses on my website. Check out AI with Kyle if you want to access. Cool. I'm going to hop over to some questions, but finish up shortly. Do the same with websites. I love that as a business idea. Distribution to customers is the biggest obstacle I'm running into. Yeah, so this is great. Greg's idea of duplicate an app. You can also duplicate websites. You can duplicate web apps. We can just give it to Claude Code now and it will go off and do it. It's not a problem anymore. It's really easy, too easy. You still need to be able to market. So that becomes the next barrier. But previously what we had was building was a huge barrier. And then people ran into the secondary barrier of, okay, I built it, now what? But at least we can get to that quickly. We can get to the marketing part and start worrying about that immediately, because we no longer spend 6 months and $100,000 building the application only to find out that there's no market for it, only to find out that we have no idea how to sell it. At least we can build our prototype now in a day, start getting out to market. So the problem of marketing, or the challenge of marketing, is more immediate, but still needs to be solved. Super important. I built something called AI Business Course, Go From Curious to Confident. It's a 10-week program on the website. So working out a niche, building in public, AI business ideas, vibe coding, then marketing. It allows us to very quickly go from building to marketing, because that is now the differentiator. Dave says, I pay $30 a month for one feature, probably 2% of the app. Get screenshots of the app. Go to Claude Code or check out the new Manus one they've built. Give it the screenshots and say, this is how it works. You could also sketch it on a paper. Give it to your AI and say, this is what I want to rebuild. It is that simple. Also, if that app has like a sales page or feature list, give that to the AI as well, so it has a bit more context. All you need to do, and it will help you work out the best way to do that. Do tell it beforehand. Say, I want to rebuild this for iPhone, or I want to rebuild this as a web app, or for Android or whatever, and then it will know what languages and what libraries to use, because it knows what that end goal is. But apart from that, you literally just give it screenshots and describe the functionality. That's kind of it. So it's becoming very easy. So if you are an app maker, I'd be very worried. But for people who are more entrepreneurial, or for people who want to build stuff for themselves, internal use inside their business, it's really exciting. It's a really exciting time. Kyle, do you have another account? Launch Lemonade. No, not my account, but I'm partnering with them. They are posting my videos and I'm talking about their product as well. So Launch Lemonade is a tool to help you make agents and assistants and workflows using artificial intelligence. I've partnered with them and I'm doing some content with them. So that's why you've probably seen me pop up on their feed as well. And it's run by my good friend, Shen Solon, who's also here in London. Ooh, she's got a lovely new website. Oh, look at this. Great new website. So Shen built Launch Lemonade. She just raised, and congratulations, she just raised about $500,000, a seed round, and she's using that to launch Lemonade. I'm helping support that mission. Dave says, thanks. Okay, I'm going to do it. I will report back. Good. Claude Code is the best if you are comfortable using it, if you have access to it. Otherwise, check out Manus. I haven't tried it, but you can try app publishing on Manus. I'm going to give this a whirl later and see how it goes. But I'd be interested to see how it goes for you. As you're saying, paying $30 a month for one feature, if you can recreate it in an hour and you're only using that one thing, then you've just saved yourself a couple of $100 a month. There are going to be other people in the same boat as you, and you can just release the stripped down version for a lower cost, or don't charge a subscription. People hate subscriptions. If you say it's a $10 one-off instead of a $30 a month subscription, I think you'd probably have some takers there. Good luck with that. Thank you. I'm going to finish up and see you. Cheers.